The Young and the Restless scoop for Tuesday, January 20th reveals Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, will be tempted to take fentanyl. Also coming up, Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley will be angry with Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson. Plus, Nick Sharon Newman, Sharon Cassis, Noah Newman, Lucas Adams, and Sienna Beale. Tamara Braun will blast Matt Clark, Roger Howarth, and Chelsea Lawson. Melissa Claire Egan will receive some high praise. YNR spoilers tease Victoria will run into Billy at Crimson Lights. He'll say he can tell she's on edge, and he'll tell her he knows she's trying to save her family company. Victoria will admit Newman Enterprises is under attack. I am sorry for what you're going through. Billy will say he'll ask how bad it is. Victoria will say she can't let her guard down with him. She'll change the subject and ask how it's going at Abbott Communications. Victoria wants to know what he'll publish. Billy will say Sally Spector's Courtney Hope doing a great job. Victoria will tell him she knows he doesn't do well when he's not in charge. You don't want Chancellor back, do you? Billy will say he can't want something he can't have. Victoria will ask if he's going to publish an article about Newman using her as the unnamed source and wonder what their kids will think. Billy, and rightly so, will remind his ex-wife that Victor Newman, Eric Braden, hasn't hesitated to publish derogatory articles about Jabao and about him personally. Meanwhile, Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, will whine to Chelsea that she hasn't even been at the helm of Chancellor for all that long. And now she could lose the company.
Poor baby.
Should the worst happen, we can rebuild, Chelsea will tell her. Nikki will say she's pleased to have her standing by them. They'll discuss her relationship with Adam Newman, Mark Grossman. I'm just happy we're living in the space we're in right now. Chelsea will reply literally and figuratively. Then Adam will walk in, and Nikki will say hello and leave. They'll discuss the fact that Chelsea was going to leave because of Jabao. But of course, that's moot. Now, Chelsea will tell Adam the one good thing about this crisis is everyone realizes how dangerous the AI software really is. At Sharon's cottage, Nick will agree to hand Matt over to Victor. But first, he just wants 5 minutes alone with him. So, they'll head out to the vehicle. Nick will tell Matt it's time for him to have his day in court. Matt will ask who the judge is, and Victor will walk outside, smiling.
Me.
He'll say they'll walk Matt inside, and Noah will blast him. He'll tell him he never deserved Sienna. Then she'll say her piece. When we first met, you swept me off my feet. Sienna will tell her husband. But now I don't even recognize you. Next up is Sharon. She'll say she knows Matt isn't sorry for anything he's ever done. Yen, and the Restless scoop. Matt says they're also self-involved. You tried to break me, but you failed. She'll add, we have beaten you again, and now you have nothing and no one. Nick will tell him he's a bully. You have terrorized people I love for years. He'll say, if I were you, I'd take some long deep breaths because if it's up to me, they're the last you'll ever take. Matt will say all their speeches were long and so self-involved. Do you plan to kill me? Nick will lunge for him, and Victor will tell his goons to get him out of there. As they leave, Sharon will ask Nick if it's really over. I hope so, he'll reply. I hope we never hear Matt Clark's name again. Sharon will tell Nick he should go back to the hospital, but he'll refuse. He'll turn to Sienna and say he didn't appreciate her going to his father. She'll say she was just trying to protect him. I don't need your protection. Nick will reply, this is not your family. Noah will yell at Nick and say he can't speak to Sienna that way. When Nick heads outside for some air, Noah will apologize and say his father's on edge. However, Sienna will say Nick's right.
She's not family.
Outside, Nick will writhe in pain, grabbing his leg. He's out of his meds, but when he puts his hand in his jacket pocket, he'll find something there. Nick will pull the baggie of fentanyl out and stare at it. But will he take one? Finally, Victor will practice a little boxing and flash back to years ago when Nick was hitting the bags with him. Then he'll open the door to a closet. Matt will be sitting inside, and Victor will glare at him. So, will Victor finish him off? Nick finds fentanyl in his pocket. Victor deals with Matt, and Victoria grows increasingly suspicious of Billy. Genoa City wakes up on January 20th with an undercurrent of dread pulsing beneath its polished exterior. On the surface, everything appears normal. Business deals, power plays, and family feuds unfolding as they always do. But beneath the calm, something far darker is brewing. Secrets are shifting, alliances are cracking, and danger is inching closer to the Newman family than anyone could have imagined. This week, The Young and the Restless takes a chilling turn as Nick Newman makes a horrifying discovery. Victor Newman quietly handles a looming threat, and Victoria Newman begins to question whether Billy Abbott is hiding something far more dangerous than usual. Nothing in Genoa City happens in isolation. And by the end of this chapter, the fallout will change lives forever. Nick Newman's nightmare begins. Nick Newman has survived a lot. Betrayals, heartbreak, corporate warfare, and the crushing weight of being a Newman. But nothing prepares him for the moment that changes everything. It happens early in the morning, the kind of quiet hour where the world feels suspended between yesterday's chaos and today's responsibilities. Nick is getting dressed at Sharon's place, still half lost in thought after a restless night. He reaches into the pocket of his jacket when he barely remembers wearing the night before, and his fingers brush against something unfamiliar. At first, he assumes it's loose change. Then he pulls it out. A small folded packet. White powder visible through thin plastic. Nick freezes. Time slows. His heart pounding so loudly, he's certain Sharon can hear it from the other room. He knows immediately what it is, or at least what it could be. Genoa City has seen its share of drugs, but this is different. Deadlier, colder, more final, fentanyl. Nick's mind races. How did this get here? He doesn't use drugs. He never has. He barely drinks anymore. The packet doesn't belong to him yet. That it was in his pocket. That realization sends a chill straight through him. Panic, paranoia, and a growing sense of dread. Nick does what any rational person would do. He retraces his steps. The night before flashes through his memory in broken fragments, stopping by society, exchanging tense words with Billy, crossing paths with a stranger he can't quite place, and a momentary distraction near the bar when someone bumped into him. Was it an accident? Or was it intentional? The more Nick thinks about it, the worse it gets. Genoa City isn't exactly known for random coincidences. People don't just accidentally end up with fentanyl in their pocket, especially not a Newman. Nick realizes something else, something far more terrifying. If the police found this on him, explanations wouldn't matter. His name, his family, his history, everything would be used against him. Should Nick tell Sharon or Victor? Nick's first instinct is to hide it, to protect Sharon, to protect his kids, to protect himself. But secrets have never stayed buried long in Genoa City, especially ones this explosive. Sharon notices immediately that something is wrong. Nick is distant, distracted, his jaw clenched tight with tension. When she asks what's going on, he almost tells her almost. But fear stops him. Because once the words are out, there's no taking them back. Instead, Nick does what he always does when things spiral out of control. He turns to the one man who always has a plan, Victor Newman. Victor Newman learns the truth. When Nick tells Victor what he found, the room goes cold. Victor doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't react with shock. Instead, his expression hardens. The look that has struck fear into enemies for decades. This wasn't an accident, Victor says flatly. He knows immediately what this means. Someone is sending a message. Someone wants Nick scared or framed, and Victor Newman does not tolerate threats against his family. Victor deals with Matt quietly and ruthlessly. Victor's investigation doesn't take long. He has resources the police can only dream of. Security footage, private investigators, contacts who owe him favors they can never repay. One name rises to the surface quickly. Matt. Matt isn't a major player, at least not on the surface. He's the kind of man who operates in the shadows, running errands for bigger fish, staying just far enough removed to deny responsibility. But Victor knows his type, and Victor knows how to deal with his type. They meet privately, far away from prying eyes. No witnesses, no recordings. Just two men in a room thick with tension. Victor doesn't threaten Matt. He doesn't need to. He simply lays out the facts, what he knows, who he knows, and exactly how easily Matt's life could unravel if Victor decided to push. Matt cracks. The truth spills out in fragments. He didn't choose Nick at random. He was paid to plant the drugs. Paid well. The instructions were clear. Get it into Nick Newman's possession without him noticing. But when Victor demands the name of who's behind it, Matt hesitates. And that hesitation tells Victor everything. This isn't over. Nick is being watched. And someone wants him destroyed. Victor warns Nick to be careful, to trust no one, to keep his routine unpredictable. But Nick isn't just worried about himself anymore. What if Sharon had found it? What if Faith had seen it? What if the packet had torn open? The danger suddenly feels very real and very close. Nick realizes he's not just dealing with a threat. He's dealing with a setup designed to ruin him completely. Victoria Newman's suspicion turns toward Billy. While Nick fights a hidden war, Victoria Newman is fighting a familiar one. Her growing distrust of Billy Abbott. At first, it's just a feeling. Billy has been restless, distracted, too defensive for no clear reason. He's dodging questions, changing plans at the last minute, and making business decisions that don't quite add up. Victoria has lived this cycle before, and it never ends well. Billy's behavior raises red flags. Billy insists he's fine, that he's just stressed, that Victoria is overreacting, but she notices things he doesn't realize he's revealing. Late-night phone calls he takes outside, a mysterious meeting he refuses to explain, a sudden interest in areas of Newman business he's never cared about before. Victoria doesn't confront him immediately. Instead, she watches, waits, gathers information. Because if there's one thing Victoria Newman has learned, it's this. When Billy starts hiding things, the fallout is never small. Could Billy be connected to Nick's trouble? As Victoria digs deeper, an unsettling thought crosses her mind. What if Billy's secrets aren't just personal? What if they're dangerous? She recalls seeing Billy at society the same night Nick might have been set up. She remembers his tense expression, the way he seemed on edge, almost paranoid. Victoria doesn't want to believe Billy could be connected to something this dark. But Genoa City has taught her better than to ignore her instincts. Victor and Victoria clash over Billy. When Victoria brings her concerns to Victor, the conversation is explosive. Victor doesn't trust Billy. He never has. But even Victor is cautious about jumping to conclusions without proof. Still, the timing bothers him. Billy's proximity to Nick, his erratic behavior, his history of self-destruction. Victor warns Victoria not to let emotion cloud her judgment. Victoria fires back that ignoring red flags is how disasters happen. Father and daughter may disagree on methods, but they agree on one thing. Billy Abbott is hiding something. The storm building over Genoa City. By the end of January 20th, the tension in Genoa City is nearly unbearable. Nick is living with a secret that could destroy him. Victor is preparing for a war he knows isn't over. Victoria is closing in on truths she may not want to face. And Billy is running out of places to hide. The fentanyl wasn't just a threat. It was a warning. And in Genoa City, warnings are always followed by consequences. What comes next? As this storyline unfolds, one question looms larger than all the rest. Who really wants Nick Newman destroyed? And how far are they willing to go? Because if history has taught us anything, it's this. When the Newmans are pushed into a corner, they don't back down. They strike back. And Genoa City will never be the same.